and welcome. You're watching the newstrack. I'm Rahul Kanwal. A furious political face-off in Parliament. This time, it seems to have got physical and wasn't just verbal. Who was at fault? We'd look at that. We'd look at the evidence that's at play, and this furious battle over trying to appropriate the legacy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Who loved him, who liked him, who disliked him more, who's doing more to keep that legacy alive. We'll have Baba Saheb's grandson joining us on the newstrack, and all the elements from that face-off in Parliament today is my top focus on the newstrack.
Battle over Ambedkar's legacy. Sunset face-off turns ugly. Protests, scuffles and FIRs. All-out BJP versus Congress war. Big focus on newstrack.
The Ambedkar firestorm has taken over the last leg of Parliament's winter session. 3 BJP MPs today accused the leader of the opposition of physical assault, while Rahul Gandhi and the Congress denies this charge, calling it a distraction tactic by the BJP. It's been a day of scuffle versus scuffle in Parliament.
Unprecedented scenes outside Parliament. BJP and Congress MPs holding placards came face-to-face at the Makar Dwar, the entry into Parliament on Thursday. The Congress lawmakers were protesting against Home Minister Amit Shah's comments, which they claimed insulted Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, while the BJP MPs were protesting alleged insult of Ambedkar by Congress. Two BJP MPs, Pratap Sarangi and Mukesh Rajput, were injured in the melee. Sarangi was injured on the forehead. He was taken to the hospital where he got up to 5 stitches.
राहुल गांधी एक एमपी को धक्का लगा, मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं नीचे गिर गया।
किसने धक्का मारा? राहुल गांधी ने?
हाँ, राहुल गांधी ने।
राहुल गांधी ने धक्का मारा?
राहुल गांधी।
कौन सी जगह पे सर? सर किस जगह पे? सर किस जगह पे? किस जगह पे?
सीढ़ी के ऊपर मैं खड़ा हुआ था और राहुल गांधी ने आकर के एक एमपी को धक्का लगाया, वो मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं।
कहाँ चोट लगी सर आपको? कहाँ चोट लगी सर? एक बार दिखा दीजिए।
High drama followed as Rahul Gandhi walked up to an injured Sarangi, where BJP MP Nishikant Dubey confronted him.
आपको शर्म नहीं आती है? क्या राहुल, क्या शर्म नहीं आती है? क्या शर्म नहीं आती है? गुंडागर्दी करते हो, बूढ़े को गिरा दिया जाता है। इतना कौन सा?
Rahul Gandhi denied the charge. The Congress shared videos on social media claiming it was Mallikarjun Kharge who was pushed.
पार्लियामेंट हाउस के सीढ़ियों पे बीजेपी के एमपी लकड़ियां लिए हमारे सामने खड़े होते हैं, हमें अंदर नहीं जाने देते हैं, और उसके बाद अब ये थोड़ा सा अपना फिर से डिस्ट्रैक्शन करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। रियलिटी ये है, इन्होंने अंबेडकर जी का अपमान किया है, उसकी अपॉलॉजी होनी चाहिए और रिजाइन करना चाहिए होम मिनिस्टर को। और जो मेन मुद्दा है जिसको ये मिटाना चाह रहे हैं, घुमाना चाह रहे हैं, मेन मुद्दा है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्र अदानी जी के खिलाफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में केस है।
एकदम शांतिपूर्वक प्रोटेस्ट हुए, कितने दिनों से चल रहे हैं, रोज 10:30 से 11। आज पहली बार इन्होंने प्रोटेस्ट किया, सबको रोक दिया और उसके बाद धक्का मुक्की और ये गुंडागर्दी। और अब सिर्फ अमित शाह जी की खाल बचाने के लिए ये अब इन्होंने साजिश शुरू की है कि भैया ने किसी को धक्का मारा, ये वो। मेरी आंखों के सामने आप सब ने देखा होगा, खड़गे जी को धक्का मार के जमीन पे गिराया।
In the Rajya Sabha, BJP MP from Nagaland, Fangnong Konyak, complained to Dhankar that Rahul Gandhi shouted at her.
It was a peaceful protest. I was standing outside. There were a lot of people. Then Shri Rahul Gandhi ji just came in front of me, very close proximity. I felt uncomfortable. And then he started shouting at me, which I did not like.
The BJP filed a police complaint against Rahul Gandhi. The Congress too filed a complaint against BJP.
We have filed a complaint against Mr. Rahul Gandhi for physical assault and incitement.
Meanwhile, Mallikarjun Kharge and TMC MP Derek O'Brien have moved privilege motions against Amit Shah over his remarks made while speaking on Congress ignoring Ambedkar that triggered the entire showdown. With Piyush Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
The BJP and the Congress have come out all guns blazing, accusing each other of physical assault. Listen in to Union Minister, former MP CM Shivraj Chauhan and Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge.
ये जबरदस्ती हमारे ऊपर हमला करके, और मैं उसमें पहले ही मैं किसी को धक्का देने की स्थिति में नहीं हूं, लेकिन मेरे को खुद वो लोग धक्का दिए, मैं अपना बैलेंस नहीं संभाल सका, मैं नीचे बैठ गया। तो अब हमारे ऊपर इल्जाम भी लगा रहे कि हमने धक्का दिया, हमने उनको गिराया।
सुरक्षा कर्मियों ने उनको कहा कि साइड में जो स्पेस है आप जाने के लिए उसका उपयोग करें, लेकिन जानबूझकर सोच समझकर राहुल गांधी हमारे सांसदों के बीच में पहुंच गए, और न केवल बीच में पहुंचे, उन्होंने ऐसा व्यवहार किया, कोई कल्पना कर सकता है? धक्का मुक्की, गुंडागर्दी।
And I want to go across now to senior BJP leader Dr. Nishikant Dubey. He joins us. He's the member of the Lok Sabha from the Godda constituency in Jharkhand. He claims he was there when Rahul Gandhi pushed BJP MP Pratap Sarangi. Nishikant ji, welcome to the newstrack. You know, there's so many cameras. Each time I come to Parliament, I see the CCTV cameras outside each of those gates, inside in the corridor. अगर जो आप बोल रहे हैं वो सही है, तो अब तक तो लोकसभा राज्यसभा सेक्रेटेरिएट ने फुटेज जारी कर दी होगी। फुटेज कहाँ है?
नहीं, फुटेज इसलिए जारी नहीं हो सकता राहुल जी, क्योंकि एफआईआर हो गया ना, पुलिस का इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा। पुलिस के इन्वेस्टिगेशन के पहले ही यदि सीसीटीवी फुटेज जारी हो जाए, और जारी क्यों करेंगे? लोकसभा स्पीकर तो इसके लिए लायबल नहीं है ना। हमने अपने कंप्लेन की है, उन्होंने अपना कंप्लेन किया है, दोनों का कंप्लेन आया है, तो पुलिस की जब जांच होगी तो दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। उस वक्त पता चलेगा कि राहुल गांधी जी किस तरह से अर्बन नक्सल हैं, किस तरह से उन्होंने प्रताप सारंगी जैसे बुजुर्ग को जो है धक्का दिया, कोन्याक जैसी महिला को, नागालैंड की जो शेड्यूल ट्राइब महिला है उसको किस तरह से धक्का दिया, मुकेश राजपूत किस तरह से गिरे, संतोष पांडे को कितनी चोटें आई हैं। ये सारी बातें जो है वो दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। फिर जब वो पार्लियामेंट के अंदर घुसने का प्रयास कर रहे थे तो हमारे जैसे लोगों ने कैसे रास्ता बनाया? मैंने रास्ता बनाया है उनके लिए जाने के लिए।
नहीं, क्योंकि तस्वीरें हमारे सामने हैं।
फिर जब वो
सीसीटीवी फुटेज तो नहीं है, लेकिन जो तस्वीरें दिख रही हैं उसमें दिख रहा है कि राहुल गांधी आ रहे हैं, आप खड़े हैं, बाकी भाजपा के सांसद खड़े हैं, वो उनको अंदर आने से रोक रहे हैं। तो आप भी तो एकदम अड़चन बन के खड़े हुए थे ना रास्ते में।
नहीं, हमने उनके लिए रास्ता दिया। जैसे ही उनके आने की बात हो गई, मैं तो यही कह रहा हूं ना, एक भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी का सांसद यदि छूता हुआ उनका वीडियो फुटेज यदि आपके पास है राहुल जी, तो आप उसको चलाइए। मैं गारंटी लेता हूं भारतीय जनता पार्टी उसको निष्कासित कर देगी। वो आए और वो आकर जब चढ़ने लगे, मैंने खुद से कहा कि रास्ता इनके लिए छोड़ो, रास्ता इनके लिए छोड़ो। वो जब रास्ता उनके लिए छूट गया, क्योंकि उनको पता था कि ये लड़ाई झगड़ा होगा, और जब उनको लगा कि मीडिया के लिए कोई इश्यू नहीं बन पाया, तो उन्होंने कोन्याक को धक्का मारा। कोन्याक को धक्का मारने के बाद प्रताप सारंगी जी कहते रहे कि मुझे मत कुछ करिए, मैं हार्ट का पेशेंट हूं, मुझे कुछ नहीं करिए, उसको धक्का मार दिया, और उसी से मुकेश राजपूत गिर गए, संतोष पांडे जी घायल हो गए।
प्रियंका गांधी वाड्रा ने बयान दिया,
जो है
वो कह रही है कि आप लोग सब मिलकर अमित शाह जी को बचाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कि भैया कभी धक्का मार ही नहीं सकते, इस तरह की कंस्पिरेसी आपने छेड़ी है। वो कह रही हैं कि उनकी आंखों के सामने खरगे जी को धक्का लगा, वो गिर गए, सीपीएम का एमपी उनके ऊपर गिर गया। वो तो कह रही हैं कि आप लोग धक्का मार रहे थे।
ऐसा है कि प्रियंका जी सबसे आगे आ रही थी मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जी के साथ, वो आकर नीचे बैठ गई। हमारी महिला सांसद भी उनके आगे बैठ गई। उसके बाद हमारे सांसद जो है वो महिला सांसद के पीछे खड़े थे। ये घटना जो है सीढ़ी पर हो रही थी, मकर द्वार पर। तो आप ये बताइए कि मैं तो प्रियंका जी का धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि उनको इस तरह का जो है संजय की तरह त्रिनेत्र मिला हुआ है कि वो दुनिया में कहीं भी कुछ हो रहा है तो उसकी वो जानकारी दे देंगे। यदि प्रियंका जी वहां से आगे 5 मीटर आगे क्या हो रहा है, यदि मैं आपको कल आप मेरे साथ पार्लियामेंट चलिएगा मकर द्वार पर, मैं बताऊंगा कि प्रियंका जी कहां बैठी हुई थी, आपके पास फुटेज होगा। हमारी सांसद कहां बैठी हुई थी, हमारे सांसद कहां खड़े थे। दूसरा सवाल है, जहां तक खड़गे साहब का सवाल है, खड़गे साहब के साथ हमने काम किया है राहुल जी, और वो एलओपी रहे हैं और हमारे पीएससी कमेटी के वो चेयरमैन थे, मैं पीएससी का मेंबर था। मैं उनको बराबर कहते रहा क्योंकि उनको घुटने में हमेशा समस्या रहती है। मेरे माँ पिताजी भी उतने उम्र के हैं, इसलिए मैं खड़गे साहब को हमेशा रिक्वेस्ट करता रहा कि रात का खाना बंद कर दीजिए खड़गे जी। दूसरा मैंने कहा कि आप जो है सुबह शाम जो है टहला करिए और आप अपने वेट को लूज करिए, नहीं तो क्या होगा कि आपका घुटना जो है आपको साथ नहीं देगा।
नहीं, पर ये जो आरोप लग रहा है उसका जवाब दीजिए ना, कि चूंकि बीजेपी ये आरोप कांग्रेस लगा रही है कि डिफेंसिव पे थी, जिस तरीके से अमित शाह जी को घेरने की कोशिश विपक्षी पार्टियां कर रही थी, तो उनका आरोप है कि इस मुद्दे से ध्यान भटकाने के लिए आपने ये पूरी साजिश को अंजाम दिया कि उतनी खराब प्रताप सारंगी जी की हालत है नहीं जितना कि आप दिखा रहे हैं। आप दिखा रहे हैं कि आईसीयू में है, एकदम बहुत बुरी हालत है। विपक्ष कह रहा है कि आप लोग ड्रामा कर रहे हैं।
आप ये बताइए कि हमने कहा प्रताप सारंगी जी को धक्का देने के लिए, हमने कहा कि आप संसद भवन जाने के बदले दोबारा लौट कर आइए और दोबारा आके क्या कहिए, ही इज लाइंग, ही पुश्ड मी, ही इज लाइंग, ही पुश्ड मी, ही इज लाइंग, ही पुश्ड मी। आपने देखा ना, वीडियो है ना आपके पास जिसमें मैं कह रहा हूं, उसी में तो गुस्सा आया जो मैं कह रहा हूं कि आप गुंडागर्दी कर रहे हो। ये सब हमने कर दिया क्या? अमित शाह जी ने कर दिया? ध्यान भटकाने के लिए हमने किया कि आपने किया? आप जो है चीजों के बारे में इतने सोरोस का जो मुद्दा उठा है, उसके बाद कांग्रेस पूरी परेशान है। मैं आपको एक जानकारी दे दूं कि जो कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी है उसमें सोरोस का फंड मिला हुआ है। जो अंबेडकर इनिशिएटिव, वहां एक बेंच है वहां कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी में, उसको सोरोस पैसा देता है। अभी उन लोगों ने पिछले 5-6 महीने से लगातार आंदोलन किया इजराइल के खिलाफ, फिलिस्तीन के समर्थन में, और वहां जिस तरह के बैग, जिस तरह से प्रदर्शन हुआ, वही लेकर प्रियंका गांधी जी पार्लियामेंट आई। तो ये जो सोरोस का मामला हमने पार्लियामेंट में उठाया, इससे कांग्रेस पूरी तार-तार हो गई।
नहीं तो अभी आप क्या चाह रहे हैं? आपने एफआईआर की है, आपके हिसाब से क्या एक्शन होना चाहिए राहुल गांधी पे?
जिस तरह से आप ये समझिए कि दोनों अर्थ में, यदि इसने जानबूझकर धक्का मारा है तो, और यदि अनजाने में धक्का मारा है तो। नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू को भी सजा हुई ना, उसने ये कहा सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कि मेरे से अनजाने में,
तो वो तो डेथ हो गई थी उस केस में, इसलिए सजा हुई,
जेल गए, सजा हुई। तो अभी प्रताप सारंगी जी जो है हार्ट के मरीज हैं, उनका ब्लड प्रेशर 210/160 है, 2 टाके लगे हैं। आप क्या चाहते हैं कि सारंगी जी मर जाएं तभी कोई केस हो?
आप क्या चाहते हैं?
यदि इतना बड़ा अटैक जिस तरह से 2001 में पार्लियामेंट पे अटैक हुआ था राहुल जी, वो पाकिस्तानी ने किया था। आज 19 दिसंबर को 2024 को राहुल गांधी ने, एलओपी ने उसी तरह से संसद भवन में सांसद को मारकर उसी तरह का अटैक किया अर्बन नक्सल के तौर पर। तो जो नया कानून है और उसमें जो एफआईआर किया है उसकी पूरी प्रॉपर जांच हो, प्रॉपर जांच होने के बाद सीसीटीवी फुटेज वगैरह सब आएगा और जो भी सजा हो मिले, और कानून के नजर में बड़ा हो या छोटा, गलती जिसने भी की उसकी सजा होगी, तभी बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर का संविधान लागू हो पाएगा और इस देश में लोगों को कानून के ऊपर विश्वास हो पाएगा।
मेरी बात हुई प्रकाश अंबेडकर से, ग्रैंडसन है बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर। वो कहते हैं कि ना कांग्रेस ना बीजेपी, दोनों पार्टियां केवल राजनीतिक रोटियां सेक रही है वोट बैंक के लिए। बाबा साहेब के आदर्शों में दोनों में से किसी का इंटरेस्ट नहीं।
अब इंटरेस्ट है या नहीं है, हमने बाबा साहब जी के लिए जितना कुछ करना था, आपको पता है कि 5 प्रण हमने लिए, और जो 5 जगह जहां उनका जन्म स्थान था, जहां कर्म स्थान था, जहां दीक्षा थी, जहां पढ़ाई की थी, जहां रहे थे, सबको हमने जो है 5 तीर्थ बनाया है। तो अंबेडकर साहब के लिए हमको किसी गारंटी की आवश्यकता नहीं है। अंबेडकर साहब जो है माननीय मोदी जी के विचारों में समाहित हैं, जिस तरह से गांधी हैं उसी तरह से अंबेडकर जी हैं। अंबेडकर जी के कारण ही हमारे जैसे लोग छोटे जगह से आकर आज यहाँ सांसद बने हैं। तो अंबेडकर जी ने हम लोगों को जितना कुछ दिया वो हमारे लिए भगवान तुल्य हैं, हमेशा भगवान तुल्य रहेंगे। तो चाहे प्रकाश अंबेडकर जी हो, चाहे कांग्रेस हो, चाहे दुनिया की कोई भी ताकत हो, उनसे हमको सर्टिफिकेट की आवश्यकता नहीं।
Nishikant Dubey, for joining us with your thoughts. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. An all-out war over the legacy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, a storm triggered by Home Minister Amit Shah's remarks in Parliament. The Congress accuses the BJP of being anti-constitution, a charge the Home Minister stoutly denies, claiming the Congress under Nehru sidelined Ambedkar. The big question, who among the two parties are more pro-Ambedkar?
The battle over Ambedkar's legacy. A full-blown BJP versus Congress war over this 12-second clip from Home Minister Amit Shah's Sansad speech.
मान्यवर, अभी एक फैशन होगा है अंबेडकर 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 अंबेडकर। इतना नाम अगर भगवान का लेते हैं तो 7 जन्मों तक स्वर्ग मिल जाता।
The Congress claimed that the Home Minister's remarks were an insult to the architect of India's constitution.
ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के खिलाफ है। इन्होंने कहा, ये पहले ही कह रहे थे कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को हम चेंज करेंगे, ये इसके खिलाफ हैं। अंबेडकर जी के खिलाफ हैं, उनकी विचारधारा के खिलाफ हैं। इनका पूरा का पूरा काम अंबेडकर जी ने जो किया और जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उसको खत्म करने का है, तो सब पूरा देश जानता है।
Protests broke out with a divided opposition finding a rallying cry in Ambedkar.
I'm shocked about the comments of Ambedkar, Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
आज जिस तरह से प्रधानमंत्री जी अमित शाह जी के समर्थन में उतर आए, उससे ऐसा लगता है कि जो कल अमित शाह जी ने कहा था वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की एक सोची हुई रणनीति थी, जिसके तहत संसद में बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर का अपमान किया गया।
जिस तरह से बाबा साहब का अपमान आज जब हम 75वीं संविधान दिवस मना रहे हैं, इस उपलक्ष्य में हुआ है, तो ये निंदनीय है और हम चाहते हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी वाले इसके लिए माफी मांगे।
The BJP came out all guns blazing. The Home Minister accused the Congress of distorting his remarks.
बयानों को तोड़ मरोड़ कर पेश करना, हो हल्ला मचाना। पहले उन्होंने नरेंद्र मोदी जी के भी एडिटेड बयानों को सार्वजनिक किया। चुनाव जब चल रहा था, मेरे बयान को एआई का उपयोग कर एडिट किया गया और पूरे देश में इसको प्रसारित करने का घृणित काम किया गया। और आज अंबेडकर जी के लिए मेरी बात को तोड़ मरोड़ कर वो पेश कर रहे हैं।
And listed out instances when the Congress sidelined Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
नेहरू जी की अंबेडकर जी के प्रति नफरत जग जाहिर है। कांग्रेस के नेताओं ने कई बार खुद ही अपने आप को भारत रत्न दिए हैं। 55 में नेहरू जी ने खुद को भारत रत्न दे दिया, 71 में इंदिरा जी ने खुद को भारत रत्न दे दिया और 1990 में बाबा साहब को भारत रत्न तब मिला जब कांग्रेस पार्टी सत्ता में नहीं रही।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi too defended Shah, saying it is the Congress ecosystem spreading lies and that it is they who insulted Baba Saheb Ambedkar repeatedly. The Congress demanded either the Home Minister resign or he be sacked by the Prime Minister.
हमारे अमित शाह राजीनामा देना चाहिए और मोदी जी को अगर थोड़ा सा भी बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर के बारे में श्रद्धा है तो रात के 12 बजे के अंदर वो निकाल देना चाहिए उनको।
खड़गे जी मेरा इस्तीफा मांग रहे हैं, इनको आनंद होता है तो शायद मैं दे भी दूं, मगर इससे इनकी समस्या का अंत नहीं है। अभी 15 साल तक कम से कम उनको वही जगह पे बैठना है जहां वो बैठे हैं। खरगे साहब, मेरे इस्तीफे से आपकी दाल नहीं गलने वाली है।
Clearly, the race to claim Ambedkar's legacy is at the center of this political showdown. Bureau Report, India Today.
The BJP both claiming that they've done more to preserve the legacy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. To talk about this, I'm joined on the broadcast by the grandson of the man himself, Prakash Ambedkar, president of the Vanchit Bahujan Agadi, two-time Lok Sabha MP, now joins us on this broadcast. Mr. Ambedkar, when you heard this controversy play itself out, sparked by the comments made by Union Home Minister Amit Shah and the opposition's selective interpretation of a much longer speech, what really was going through your mind, and what do you make of the manner in which there is now this big fight between the BJP and the Congress about who loves Baba Saheb more?
Let me put it across that both do not love Dr. Ambedkar, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. That has been the checkered history right from 1946, if I'm right, if I must say so. Because when the Constitution was being framed, Congress had reservations regarding the reservation policy which Dr. Ambedkar advocated in the Constitutional Assembly, and then which he wanted in the draft Constitution also. BJP on the RSS on the other hand, and the Hindu Mahasabha, and as well as the Sadhu Santa organization, they had problem with the Constitution, with the parliamentary democracy on one side. Second is granting of women the right, and third is bringing the OBCs and Dalits and Adivasis on the par with the upper caste. So these were controversies where during Dr. Ambedkar's lifetime. Therefore, to say that both are now propagating Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's philosophy, I would say, is out of context.
The fact is, while Ambedkar ji was alive, both the RSS and the Congress, led at that time by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and even Mahatma Gandhi, had different issues with the positions that he took. But what do you make of their efforts now to appropriate the legacy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, saying, the Prime Minister also saying, we believe in what Ambedkar said and his vision for India 100%. Between the two, you're saying, okay, so neither loved him, but who hated him less? In a relative scale, in your perspective, between the BJP and the Congress, or the Hindu Mahasabha and the RSS and the Congress, who hated Baba Saheb lesser?
I don't think both of them, there's any degree of hatred, in the sense that you can measure it and say, yes, they were on the side of Baba Saheb and the little more than the other one.
So who was on the side of Baba Saheb more than the other one?
Let me put across. Both wanted the hegemony of the upper caste to remain as it is. And that Baba Saheb tried to destroy it by the Constitution, by adopting principles which were based on liberty, equality and fraternity. And therefore both were equally opposed to each other, both were equally opposed to Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
Who disliked him less?
But the masses had taken the situation in their control, and therefore the masses were with Baba Saheb Ambedkar during those periods, and therefore they couldn't do much about it. And therefore today what we see is that one nation, one election is another way of saying, of bringing about the dictatorship in this country.
We spoke earlier about what happened when Ambedkar ji was alive, about who was closer to him. If you were to be asked the question about today, in terms of their policies and their positions, who is trying to stand for the kind of India that Ambedkar ji envisioned as his grandson, what would your take on that be?
I would give you one example. He wanted the economic policy of this country to be part of the Constitution, which he laid down later, in the states and minorities, where he divided economy into three parts. One, he said, where the nation, one economy, which is the nation lifeline, should be in the hands of the government. The second is the state's autonomy has to remain, therefore some sectors have to remain, and the rest should be in the private sector. Today what we are finding, the lifeline of the country, economy, is now being privatized. Do we say we follow the policy of Dr. Ambedkar? The war has changed. Today it's not the sword that is ruling, it is the pen that is not ruling. Therefore, invading each other's economy is a way of ruling the world.
Okay, you've had your say. Prakash Ambedkar, grandson of...
Is this policy being followed by both the parties?
Sure, I hear what you're saying. You're sounding equally frustrated and disappointed with both national parties and the kind of positions that you've taken. You're saying it's at odds with the vision that Ambedkar ji had for India. Thank you very much, Prakash Ambedkar, for joining us. Appreciate this.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We've dealt with the politics. We've heard the grandson of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and I want to go across to an excellent panel of scholars. I have Dr. Suraj Yangde, young top scholar from Harvard and Oxford University. He's the author of Caste Matters. I have Dr. Kancha Alaya, author, Dalits rights activist. Uday Mahulkar is a well-known author. He's been RTI Commissioner. We have Kanchan Gupta, Senior Advisor, Ministry of Information Broadcasting, and Sanjay Jha, commentator and policy analyst. I want to go across to Suraj Yangde first. The question is, between the BJP and the Congress, who at this moment is doing more to keep alive and push forward the legacy of Baba Saheb Ambedkar and trying to build the kind of India that Ambedkar believed in? If this is how I frame my question, what's your response? Suraj Yangde.
Thank you, Rahul. I think it's futile to divide these two arms of BJP and Congress, because the way both of the political parties, if you look at the history, especially pre-independence era and so forth, the track record of this two is not that dissimilar. And in this sense, who's doing more and who's doing less? The more in the sense of creating an aura around Ambedkar's personality, a hero worship, a kind of reverence, which really serves nobody. It's creating this bhakti bhav surrounding Ambedkar. The BJP has succeeded, and which really creates a mass of emotionally attached people without any material causes, which is really about their survival, about the economic policies, about the politics that they need representation. And regarding Congress, we need more tokenization, the more idea of using him as a cannonball to thrust at the opposition party, then Congress is doing better. Now, see, both of them are doing something regarding Ambedkar, but it really doesn't affect the regular value of people, the people who are working class, the poor, the peasants, the Dalits, the backward classes people. And I think that's what we need to focus. And here, what Modi excellently did was really pointing out to the wrongs and the sins committed by Congress. Now, Congress was never a lover of Ambedkar. And so Modi really picked up. Modi didn't pick up
but
because
neither
he
did
loved
the
Ambedkar.
RSS love Ambedkar.
No. They don't love either. So Modi picked up because there was a lacuna on the desk of when it comes to Congress's policy. So the appreciation from the BJP RSS, or rather BJP more outrightly towards Ambedkar, is not because they love Ambedkar, it's just because there is very little in the slate, on the slate written by Congress people. And I think that's why the issue that has really cropped up, it has really become a kind of a Ambedkar slugfest as to who is going to really claim his position. And it's amazing that the way Modi carried out by really creating this Panchatirtha and asking his embassies to celebrate across the world Ambedkar's, which really doesn't add any material value, but also it helps to subside Gandhian kind of philosophy, which RSS obviously stands as odds with. So it's not really anything that's coming out.
So you're saying it's not material, it's more symbolic, and they're making the right noises without actually trying to push forth his vision in a more real way. Sanjay Jha, if you look at the argument the Congress is making, because even if we take just those 11 seconds of the Home Minister's clip, the argument is that he made it seem as if Ambedkar wasn't God. Ki Ambedkar karte rehte, itni bar Bhagwan ka naam liya, so you would have found heaven. So the argument, the root of the argument is that the Congress believes and Ambedkarites believe that Ambedkar is God. Why treat a human being like God? Why create this fake reverence over him, especially given the kind of positions that Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Nehru took when Ambedkar ji was alive on the kind of social revolution he wanted, and Nehru and Gandhi both opposed?
Well, I think the first thing that, Rahul, we need to understand is that differences, ideological, philosophical, would be a natural consequence of the conversations at that point of time. I mean, Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar had serious differences. That's out in the public domain. I don't think anybody can contest that. Equally in the public domain is what Dr. Ambedkar said, that I'm the most hated man in Hindu India. And that is a very powerful statement made by a man who fought for the Dalits and the other backward classes in our country. And this is the point that I think we need to understand here, that Dr. Ambedkar intrinsically was against majoritarianism. He was against the fundamentalism that religion brings to the table. In fact, he went on to add that he feels that a lot of people see him as a traitor, the language that we hear very often in India. But to cut to the politics, because we can't ignore the politics here, and I'm going to concede that Dr. Ambedkar, unfortunately, has become part of the battleground for a political appropriation. Cannot be denied. Having said that, I agree with what Suraj says. In fact, I've read his rather fascinating book as well. The truth remains that Dr. Ambedkar's effigies were burnt by the RSS in 1949. And the reason was because they challenged the Hindu Code Bill, which was a lot more progressive and reformist.
So let me put that question to Kanchan Gupta, because the reason that Dr. Ambedkar left the Nehru cabinet was because he was trying to push the Hindu Code Bill in 1951. And Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, the founder of the Jan Sangh, called this bill a threat to Hindu culture. The RSS's mouthpiece, the organizer, launched a tirade against Ambedkar's move. We oppose the Hindu Code Bill. We oppose it because it is derogatory, based on alien and immoral principles. It's not a Hindu Code Bill. It's anything but Hindu. We condemn it. RSS chief at that time, Golwalkar, too, castigated the move as an affront to Hindu sanskar. Now, this is when Ambedkar ji was alive. If what he was pushing for was an affront to Hindu sanskar, how is the BJP now seeking to claim his legacy? Kanchan Gupta.
I don't think what applied in 1948, 49, 50, 51 would be applicable today in today's politics and society. So to constantly hark back to what happened then, who said what, is really not...
but why not? When Modi ji and the BJP keep citing what Nehru ji said...
If you let me complete...
Yes, I will let you complete, but I'm just trying to frame the argument. Go on, Kanchan.
You can keep on interrupting me, fine, I will just stop.
No, I want to hear your argument. I will allow you the opportunity to complete it.
I mean, if you want to hear the contrarian view, then don't interrupt.
Okay, go on, sir.
Yeah, so, there is now this great thing going on, that the BJP is trying to appropriate Ambedkar, or that it is something which began only with Prime Minister Modi's advent to power. No, I mean, I can think back into the 1990s when the BJP's national executive meetings and national council meetings would be held in tents, and there would be always a tent which would be called the Ambedkar Hall or Ambedkar Sabhaghar. So it is not something new. Two, the BJP's attempt to reach out to the scheduled caste voters has been a consistent project, and that project has borne fruition in recent years. So you see that a lot of voters have transferred their allegiance from the Congress to the BJP. Now this is politics, and every party is entitled to contest for every section of the vote. And just because the BJP also then reaches out to make Ambedkar into a member of the party's pantheon of heroes doesn't make that any,
No, but can I push back now, Dada, by saying that when the BJP's top leadership keeps citing what Pandit Nehru did or did not do when he was in power and holds the current Congress accountable for it, why then can the Congress not cite what the RSS or the Hindu Mahasabha did when Ambedkar ji was alive and there was actually an opportunity to implement the kind of India he wanted, which the Hindu Mahasabha and the RSS both staunchly opposed?
Well, I think if you go through the debates, the opposition was on several nuts and bolts details. You even had the President of India, Rajendra Prasad, letting Nehru know that he would not sign the bill even if Parliament passes it. So there was a certain outlook at that time. There was a certain misgiving at that time, because let's not forget that they did not look at all the personal laws collectively. They picked on the Hindu personal laws and they brought in the Hindu reform bills. Now, I'm personally okay with the Hindu reform bills. I'm glad, and I think in retrospect, everybody is glad that it happened. But there were misgivings, and there were misgivings because of various factors. Now, the point is, Nehru did not push for the passage of those bills. Let's also get that clear. Nehru did not push for the passage of the bills because he did not want the credit of reform to go to B.R. Ambedkar. He wanted it to do it himself. The bills were passed. It's not as if the bills were not passed. The bills were passed only after Ambedkar left the cabinet and Nehru had managed to put him down. And then he again pushed for the Hindu code bills.
So I hear you. I want to go across to Dr. Kancha Alaiya now, because my problem with this debate in the way that the Congress and the opposition are trying to frame it is that they're objecting to the Home Minister saying that Ambedkar has become a fashion. If you chanted this name, the name of God as many times, you would have been blessed with heaven in 7 births. Now, implicit in the opposition's argument is the criticism that he thought that Ambedkar is not God. Now, why should anybody think of B.R. Ambedkar or Mahatma Gandhi or anybody else as a modern God? Now, that might be expedient politics. It might be good vote bank politics with an eye on the Dalit vote bank, but that's not right. Why should you treat anyone as God? You're a Dalit rights scholar. What do you make of the current debate?
Well, Rahul, what Home Minister Amit Shah said had a very deep spiritual implication for the entire Shudra, Dalit, Adivasi masses who never had a God who could show them heaven. Now, Amit Shah was saying that you should have talked about God 7 times and then you should have gone to heaven 7 times. Which heaven he was talking about? Where do Shudras, Dalits, Adivasis go? Which heaven they should go? There is no food equality there. There is no equal right to sit together, equal right to marry together. Now, what is that in heaven? He has categorically denied the spiritual status of Ambedkar.
No, but my question to you, Dr. Alaiya, is why treat Ambedkar as God?
Ambedkar took
So with a lot of respect and with no offense, why treat Ambedkar ji as God? He's a modern day human being, a character from our contemporary history.
Millions of people. Rahul, listen.
Yes.
Yeah, millions of people. When each Baba can become God, Satya Sai Baba could become God, many Babas are becoming God. When Ambedkar, who has liberated the slaves, Ambedkar, who has shown the path of spiritual, social, economic equality in philosophical terms, it is this line of RSS BJP that Congress never had about Ambedkar. Now you show any writing of Nehru or discussion of anybody from... The second thing is...
But the Congress never sought to treat Nehru as God. They did try and exalt his position, put him on a pedestal, but they never made it seem as if he was a modern day God.
In that sense, Nehru could never be thought in terms of Ambedkar's spiritual status, because Ambedkar has liberated the untouchables out of any religious fold, and the Shudra Dalits who have no equal rights within the
Okay, you make an interesting argument. I want Uday Mahurkar to counter it. The charge by Kancha Alaiya is that Amit Shah denied the spiritual status of B.R. Ambedkar, who lifted millions out of untouchability. If Satya Sai Baba can be treated as God, the Dalits are entitled, the millions of them are entitled to treat Ambedkar as God, and the charge is the Home Minister took away that spiritual halo that Ambedkar has in the eyes of the Dalits. Uday Mahurkar.
Yeah. No. I want to take this debate beyond what has been discussed, And this whole thing about Congress, RSS and BJP being always Ambedkar bashers, it's totally wrong. There were differences on the Hindu Code Bill, but let me tell you, in the 1956 Bhandara election, which Ambedkar contested, one of his main campaigners was Dattopant Thegdi, the tallest leader of RSS at that time. So this whole thing is being quoted, lot of it is being quoted out of context, but I want to go beyond this. You see, Dr. Ambedkar is seen as father of India's constitution and as Messiah of Dalits. But Dr. Ambedkar was a great economist. When he was a minister from 1942 to 1946 in the central cabinet, he generated many ideas to do with irrigation, with the river interlinking, power projects. In fact, many projects on Mahanadi and Damanganga River were basically ideas of Ambedkar.
Okay.
Then his thesis, he was a great economist. His thesis was on rupee.
No, so you didn't really
Dr.
answer my
Ambedkar
question. Let me put that same question to Kanchan Gupta and see if I can get him respond to Kancha Alaya, who says
in
the way the Home Minister framed the argument, Kancha Alaya's charge is he takes away the spiritual halo that millions of Dalits attach to B.R. Ambedkar by making it seem as if he's not a modern day god. Satya Sai Baba can be a god for millions. Why can't Ambedkar for the Dalits? Kanchan Gupta.
No, I totally agree that...
I think you put yourself on mute. Go on.
Can you hear me?
I hear you well. Go on.
Yeah, so if Birsa Munda today is seen as Bhagwan Birsa Munda, I mean, he's seen as a figure who centralizes Adivasi pride, Adivasi self-esteem, and who sort of inspires the Adivasi to maintain his identity. So similarly, I see no problem with B.R. Ambedkar becoming an icon, a spiritual icon if necessary, for the masses who believe in his philosophy, who believe in what he said, and who believe in what he stood for. Now, B.R. Ambedkar did not only stand for a political identity, he also stood for a social and economic identity of the people of India. I would not restrict that identity only to members of the scheduled caste community. Now, and hence, I think this whole thing about the BJP appropriating Bhimrao Ambedkar and elevating him to the status of their own pantheon of leaders is something which, it's a project which began earlier.
No, so both the Congress and the BJP seem okay, Suraj Yengde, with treating Ambedkar as a modern day god. You seem to have had a problem with it. Why is it that you think that while this may be politically expedient, it's essentially being done with an eye on vote bank politics? Both parties are attaching a degree of reverence to Baba Saheb Ambedkar because it suits their politics at this moment, not because they necessarily mean it.
No, that is what I tried to explain to you. For the BJP, it's not politics of the moment. In 1990, 93, 94, 95, 96, it was not politics of expedience for the BJP. At that time, if they were naming their national executive and national council venues as Bhimrao Ambedkar Sabhaghar and things like that, so and his portrait would be there along with those of the BJP's own icons. So what is wrong?
Okay, let Suraj Yengde contest that. Suraj, are you okay with the BJP and the Congress both wanting to give this spiritual, larger-than-life, godlike halo to Baba Saheb Ambedkar?
I mean, BJP and Congress, they don't really have the authority, neither they have the ontological position to do that. Ambedkar has already been upholded among the tallest pantheons, as Professor Kanchalaya pointed out, among the backward classes, the Adivasis and Dalits, who see that their modern day existence through civil and political liberties guaranteed to the Constitution as well as outside Parliament struggle of Ambedkar is very much visible. So that's the kind of reverence that's coming. There's no, when Ambedkar died, there was not even money to build what we have today, Chaitya Bhumi. His son had to go around with begging ball to build a center of his resting peace, which is now Chaitya Bhumi in Dadar. So we know that neither these two hegemonic ideas can do anything to Ambedkar, but there is a very easy way. The moment you add a spiritual reverence without material concern, you kill the person. You let the person die permanently and not really live up to its radical ideas. Because heroes, and especially in India, and Ambedkar wrote and also in his speech talked about how dangerous hero worship is. Also in the Constitutional Assembly, he was talking about how it will lead to a certain form of anarchic politics. And that's what has happened. When you add this bhakti bhav, when you add this mindless reverence, especially from a state apparatus, what you essentially do is to just tell people to be high on this religious dogmatism, which doesn't really require rational and science to back up your own fundamental values. It is purely based on misgivings. But if you really want to uphold Ambedkar, you really have to go back to what his grandson recently spoke about, that the actual policies Ambedkar wrote. Ambedkar did not singularly author India's constitution. His single authorship of India's constitution was states and minorities. That was his proposal, which really gives the poor, the marginalized, the women, the oppressed, and as well as the people who own lands, debentures, meaning the ones who had land. Ambedkar wanted them to be distributed by not doing the communist style of taking away the way it happened in Soviet and other parts of the
No, but the fact also is, Sanjay Jha, if I look back at the kind of comments that Rahul Gandhi has made in the past, he has so often spoken against the caste system itself and spoken against a lot of the ideas which he now, for example, the caste census, etc., which he now professes. For a long time, he was an opponent. So if he's accusing the BJP of political opportunism, the mirror can be held to his face and said, well, given how you started out, you were a fierce opponent of this. Now you're finding it politically expedient because you want the Dalit vote bank to come back to the Congress, which is why you're saying you believe in ideas which you originally opposed.
Rahul, I'll tell you why that argument is weak. Because especially after 2014, India has got economically more skewed. And I think it's also seeing a lot of social polarization. And I think the reason why the BJP ought to be worried and why they disagreed with Dr. Ambedkar is because he believed in a social democracy. What you're seeing in India over the last 10 years is the greater role of religion in Indian democracy. And like it or not, Kanchan Gupta cannot ignore that this is an ideological party and its founders had strong views on the constitution and Bhartiyata. Read what M.S. Golwalkar has said. Read what Vinayak Damodar Savarkar has said. Read what Mohan Bhagwat says. He wants India to be a Hindu Rashtra, which is anti-constitution. And why did Dr. Ambedkar finally leave Hinduism?
No, but the good thing about this whole debate, Kanchal, I am out of time, which is why I'm cutting in right now, is that it's brought back the ideas of Baba Saheb Ambedkar in the contemporary frame much more than earlier. So many more people reading up about Ambedkar, reading out about what he wrote, what others said about him, wrote about him, much more than otherwise. So in that sense, he's being kept alive because of the debate in this present moment much more than previously.
No, it is definitely the present ownership of the mass of Ambedkar, not only because of the constitution, which the BJP people wanted to change if they get 400 seats in the last election.
Rahul, that's a lie.
And I don't know whether my friends are not looking at this. So the question is the spiritual dimension includes economic dimension. Take for example Gautam Buddha. Did he not give us an economic idea?
Okay, I know I'm running out of time, but I don't want this to turn into a melee. We'll go one at a time and I'll give Kanchan and Uday a final opportunity to comment. Let Kancha Alaya complete in 30 seconds. Kancha. Mr. Alaya.
Yeah, God like Buddha. Now what happens to economics? Economics will remain in the part of Ambedkar thought. I'm really sorry to listen this from my own friends. No. if they say that only the states and minorities Ambedkar constitution, then this constitution is likely to be changed by BJP, if not in
Uday
this
Mahurkar
election,
is taking umbrage to what you're saying. He
remember,
wants to come in and comment on that.
Narendra
I'm going to
Modi
give
is
Uday
talking
Mahurkar a quick
about-
final opportunity. Yes,
No,
Mr.
just a
Mahurkar.
minute. Only Narendra Modi ji is coming, saying
Listen,
that,
this entire debate is skewed. Entire debate is skewed because Ambedkar's views on Muslim community and Muslims were very different. They are never being discussed. They are never discussed by these people. Why don't they discuss his book, My Thoughts on Pakistan? Why they don't discuss the contents of that book? He is more harsh on Muslim community than even Savarkar.
Okay, Kanchan Gupta, final 20 seconds to make your closing argument. Kanchan Da.
No, listen. I mean, I must say this, and I say this with a great deal of regret. Kancha Ilaya has a habit of putting out distorted statements and claiming that is the truth. Just because he says it and he is an quote-unquote activist doesn't make it true. He has no evidence to say that the BJP wanted to or BJP had planned to change the constitution wholesale after the 2024 elections. He's talking, that's a lie. And I think something which B.R. Ambedkar would be
how many of
Okay,
your leaders-
gentlemen, this debate is, as a
Ambedkar
student of Indian politics, fascinating. It's also endless. Unfortunately, I'm out of time and therefore I need to wrap. But I promise you, what we'll do next time is we'll leave the politics out of it. We'll just stick to the scholarship. We'll stick to what happened. We'll stick to history. And we'll stitch a full, deeper, more meaningful conversation around this. We've had an excellent, thought-provoking engagement. So I want to thank you all for joining us on this broadcast. Indian cricketer Virat Kohli lost his cool again. The former India captain schooled the Australian paparazzi for clicking pictures of his family without asking for permission. Remember, Virat and his wife Anushka have been particular about keeping their children away from the media spotlight. This is where I wrap up the News Track tonight. Preeti Chaudhary comes up next with News 2. Goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow.